We're now at Kelleway's yard, which is in Exning. Horses, as you can see, are about to come back in, or are coming back in from work, and you're going to take us on a little tour, because there's so much history here, isn't there?
Absolutely. It's set in a little village called Exning, just on the outskirts of Newmarket. We use all the facilities here, the gallops in Newmarket, on Newmarket Heath. We actually have a bridge, a tunnel actually, that goes under the A14 to get to the gallops. And it gives them a nice long exercise to actually get onto the first canter. But this particular yard was built in 1885. It's had a Grand National winner here, don't ask me the names, and a Derby winner evidently over the years, yeah. It's stooped in history. This was originally the stallion yard. Next door where Darragh Holland owns, behind us, that was the original racing yard. And they used to keep the carriages here as well. So the stallions were kept here. And there used to be just paddocks out the front, was houses built on the village, but it was just paddocks and land and fields, which leads up to Julia Fielding's yard, right. Which had the mares. So
I imagine that there's probably lots of like historical points in and around the stable. So can you take us around and show us?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, this is the main courtyard here. The barn on your left is literally just probably the covering barn.
Right.
And behind is another set of stables. I've added a few more stables there. And this would have been the house. My house runs over the top. These were stables here where the office was stables, and there's a flat there with stables. This is where the carriage used to come through.
Right.
And obviously you can see where they put the stops there to stop the wheels knocking onto the wall. And the actual brick is really, really ancient. And obviously where the houses are, that used to be just land there. This would have been just land out the front here. And used to bring the carriages through here, and obviously the horses that drew the carriages were stood in with the stallions. Yeah. I mean, those trees there, it's a female tree, acacia tree, and it's a male tree, and they would be over 375 years old. They were here before probably the buildings. Yeah, and we've got another little yard there, courtyard there.
And what were you saying something about the beams as well?
Yeah, in the barn itself, which was just a barn, a covering barn for the stallions.
Right.
It was actually originally the beams were from the Spanish Armada, believe it or not. Julia and John, Julia Fielding, the trainer.
Yeah.
I bought the place from them, and John fills me out with all history of this yard. And
so, do you know why the Spanish Armada beams are in this yard? What's the reason?
I think it's because they were owned by originally Lord Ramsay, and then Lord Derby took the place. So obviously they got it through. I suppose it's through. Ancestry and royal family, and they're all friends, weren't they? Because old King Charles was up the road, wasn't he, with Nell Gwyn? So I suppose they used to go out for drinks and what have you. So I'm sure there was different reasons for it, but it's got wonderful history to the place. And you can buy postcards, and this yard, this stable, is actually on the postcards here.
Fantastic.
So, and it's got the Queen's Law on it, so you would never be able to probably ever build houses here, so hopefully it will stay forever.
It's cool. The horses, obviously, as we can see, coming back in. So what's it like training in Exning, which is just like a tiny bit out of Newmarket?
I love it. I mean, you've got Julia Fielding here and myself that train here at the moment. Julia does tremendously well with a small string like myself. We've both got about the same sort of horses, 25 sort of horses. Yeah. And we do extremely well between us. I think we conjure up a few winners a year.
Yeah, do very well.
Between us, we conjure over 30 winners or something like that.
Are you good mates?
Yeah, very good friends. John and her came round for Sunday lunch the other day. Yeah, very, very good friends. And yeah, and they, she was very kind to me. We did a direct deal of buying the place when I bought it from her, and she wanted to move up to the stud part. So yeah, no, it's worked very well.
And what do you make of Newmarket? You've been there, there a few years.
I moved on my 13th birthday.
No way.
And we went through right the middle of London to get to Newmarket. There's no N25. And we had one horse on the horse box with my father because he started training at Shelfleet. Yeah. I was born in Cranley, Surrey, and we moved to Newmarket. And obviously I went to boarding school after that, so I was sent away for much of the end of my years at school. And then I went to Cambridge, and then I started riding out. The worst thing I ever did, father was short-staffed, and I started riding horses, race horses, and then I got the bug, and then I became champion, still the youngest champion amateur rider at 18. And I turned professional at 19, all being in Newmarket, Shelfleet, on the Bury Road. And then I worked in London, and I went out of racing for a bit, and I worked in New Zealand. I rode in New Zealand, I trained in New Zealand. And
is that where you started training?
In New Zealand, in New Zealand, very briefly. Right. And then I came back to England, worked in London, because I felt that I needed to be pretty grounded and learn about selling. And getting really basically contacts to start training. Yeah. I always wanted to train horses. I wanted to go to America to train, but circumstance I didn't go, and I ended up being instead of going to America to train as assistant, I ended up being a professional jockey. Hence, that's why I was
And a very good one.
Yeah, not that I wanted to do that, but it was father's idea. But of course, it served me well winning at Royal Ascot.
Yeah.
Someone put it in the archives. That was 1992. I thought, I wish it was. I was only 22, but it was 1987, so it was a long time ago. And obviously, that's been really good to me. But I always wanted passionately to train horses, and I'd spent some time with Noel Hickey in America. I'd ridden in Florida. I've been to Chicago, California. I've been basically worldly wise before I started training. I was very lucky. The wonderful thing about horse racing, being in horse racing, no matter who you are, you can come from any background, you get a chance to travel. You get a hold of a good horse, or you're really, passionate about it.
Yeah.
The trainer will allow you to travel with the horses.
Definitely.
And it gets you to see the world. I've never seen places like I've seen without horse racing.
Yeah.
I've been to Japan, Hong Kong. I've been basically everywhere, and many winters in Dubai. I'm fortunate to go there because of the horse racing. I've had winners all over the world. I spend quite a bit of time in France as well. We take a lot of horses from here to go to France, and they come over, vice versa. So with the stable in La Morlaix. So
Do you have a stable in La Morlaix?
Yeah, we Anne-Sophie Crombert, that spent 6 years here.
Right.
As assistant, she took over the yard over there. We started off 3 months because you can't have a satellite yard.
Right.
By rules of racing. So basically, we decided that she took her licence over there, and she carried on. And she's got a lot of English owners. She's got 5 of my horses. And I've had quite a few runners and a lot of success there, which is great. And also, I find the chance of really, if I've got the right type of horse for France, and it could be as low as 60, I know it will win in France.
Right.
And of course, the prize money is, as we all know, well publicised, a lot more than the UK for those type of horses.
Definitely.
But some horses don't suit France. Sprinters, you wouldn't even think about taking to France. There's not enough races.
Yeah.
So hence we stay here.
And every time I've been racing, obviously, it's much more difficult now to see the owners aren't there at the moment, unfortunately. But you always seem to have a really good time when you're at the races with your team and the owners, and the horses run well. But it seems as though you do it the right way. You have fun.
Oh, well, that's what it's all for. I don't do it for the money, do I? I do it for the love and the fun. I've got to. Firstly, I just love my horses.
Yeah.
You see my horses; they're very happy. They all expect a polo from me. Actually, I absolutely adore my horses, and a lot of my owners appreciate that. I mean, a lot of my owners are good friends of mine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, regularly I have sort of dinner parties, lunch. They come for morning breakfast, champagne breakfasts or coffee breakfasts, whatever they want, and they go up to the gallops, and we just have a lot of fun. I just make it enjoyable because it's my life. It's not a job to me, it's my life. Yeah. But they love to come and see their horses and give them a polo or a carrot. Yeah. And I think it's nice that they do that. I think it's so much, they're not machines horses. They really aren't machines. I adore my horses.
Good. Well, it's probably polo and carrot time now for them, isn't it? So I'll let you crack on. Thank you very much, Kate. Cheers.